Welcome back to Lions News Fan Report, where we bring you the latest and most exciting sports news every single day. And today's story is one that could shake up the entire outlook for the Detroit Lions as they head into one of the most pivotal NFL drafts in recent team history. With the 2025 NFL Draft just around the corner, all eyes are on the Lions, not because they're desperate for talent like in years past, but because, for once, they're drafting from a position of strength. The roster is deep, the core is intact, and the direction? It's clear. But if there's one thing we've learned about Detroit's general manager Brad Holmes over the last 4 seasons, it's that just when you think you've figured him out, he flips the script. The Lions enter the draft with 7 total picks, including the 28th overall selection in the first round. Now, you might hear some analysts claim this is a fairly predictable situation. They'll tell you the Lions are going to take a guard or maybe an edge rusher in round 1. Logical, right? Reasonable needs, steady positions to address. But let's be honest, when has Brad Holmes ever done what the media expects? This is the guy who took Penei Sewell in 2021 despite a glaring need at receiver, who snagged Aiden Hutchinson even with rumors of trading back, and who absolutely shocked everyone by taking Jahmyr Gibbs at 12 and Jack Campbell at 18 in 2023. And yet, every move he's made has worked out brilliantly. You could probably count Holmes' actual draft misses on one hand, and that's not an exaggeration. So when he steps into that draft war room this year, it's not about following the script. It's about writing the next chapter in what has quietly become one of the smartest and most efficient front offices in football. That unpredictability is what makes this draft so compelling. Because while Detroit doesn't have glaring holes, they do have opportunities. Opportunities to reload, to refine, and maybe even to reinvent small parts of this already elite roster. So here's the burning question. With pick number 28, what direction will Holmes go? Is it edge? Is it guard? Or could it be something no one's talking about yet? Let's start by zooming in on one of the most buzzed-about potential selections for Detroit in round 2 Georgia guard Tate Ratledge. And before we dive into the speculation, let's just make one thing clear. Ratledge feels like a Lion. Not just because of his position, but because of the way he plays the game. He's a team captain, a fierce competitor, and an absolute bruiser in the run game. Everything about this guy screams Detroit. He played for one of the toughest programs in college football and earned high praise from Kirby Smart, who called him one of the most relentless players he's ever coached. That's not something Smart says lightly. And when you watch the tape, it all checks out. Ratledge dominates in the trenches, explodes off the line of scrimmage, and plays with the kind of violent hands and finishing drive that would make offensive line coach Hank Fraley salivate. If the Lions land Ratledge in the second round, it would signal something bigger. Not just a commitment to the run game, but a continuation of Detroit's long-term vision for sustaining elite offensive line play. Right now, the Lions are still leaning on veterans like Graham Glasgow. They've got Christian Mahogany, who's promising but unproven. Awasika is solid depth, but maybe not a starter. Zinter, their rookie from last year, has upside, but still needs polish. So the question becomes, could Holmes be building for the post-Glasgow era with this pick? Is Ratledge the next foundational piece on the interior, someone who could anchor that right guard spot for the next decade? Fans are definitely wondering. And the speculation is heating up. But what if that's just the beginning? Let's not forget, this team doesn't only pick at 28 and in the second round. They've got ammo throughout the draft. And with Holmes' track record of finding value later, think Amon-Ra St. Brown, think Malcolm Rodriguez. There's every reason to believe they could uncover another gem or two this year. That brings us to another fascinating possibility. Some insiders believe Holmes might actually double dip at guard, using not just 1, but 2 picks to reinforce the interior line. At first glance, that might sound excessive. But think about it. This offense is built around power, control, and trench dominance. If Detroit wants to remain elite in pass protection while bulldozing opposing defenses in the run game, why not go all in on the strongest unit they've already got? Could this be the draft where the offensive line becomes untouchable? Of course, there's another path that keeps coming up in conversations behind closed doors, and that's the idea of Detroit going wide receiver early. Sounds crazy? Maybe. But with Josh Reynolds gone and Jameson Williams still finding his place, there's a growing sentiment that the Lions might sneak in a pick at WR to complement Amon-Ra St. Brown and Sam Laporta. Someone like Troy Franklin? Tez Johnson? Xavier Worthy? These are names you keep hearing in connection to teams who value route running, separation, and speed. And let's face it, the Lions haven't really replaced the deep threat consistency that DJ Chark once offered. Could a surprise receiver pick be on the table at 28 or even 61? Some draft analysts think so. Could this mean Detroit's quietly setting up for a more explosive version of their already dangerous offense? Then there's the defense. And this is where things could get wild. The Lions have solidified their secondary through trades and free agency, bringing in players like Carlton Davis and Amick Robertson. But are they done? Not necessarily. Holmes could easily target a versatile DB who can play safety or corner in sub-packages. Someone like Kyrie Jackson or Kalen Carson could come into play in rounds 3 or 4. But the real intrigue, it might lie with a developmental edge rusher. You've got Hutchinson, you've got Davenport. But what about the future? A guy like Jalix Hunt. Raw, yes, but his physical tools are off the charts. He's long, fast, and plays with a high motor. Is it possible Holmes sees a day 3 pick as a long-term investment on the edge? That wouldn't be out of character at all. But here's the biggest twist that could throw everything into chaos. What if Holmes doesn't stay put at all? That's right. Could the Lions trade up in the first round? They have the picks. They have the flexibility. And they have the motive, because if a top-tier talent starts falling into the late teens or early 20s, you better believe Holmes is on the phone. Let's say someone like Laiata Latu or Cooper DeJean starts to slip. Do the Lions pounce? Could they offer pick 28 and one of their fourth-rounders to move up and secure a true difference maker? It's not out of the question. In fact, some insiders believe Holmes has already made preliminary calls just in case that scenario unfolds. And with other contenders like the Eagles and Chiefs also lurking in the late 20s, the race to move up could be intense. Will Holmes strike? We don't know. But if he does, don't be surprised. All of this leaves us with more questions than answers, and that's exactly where the Lions want to be. Because when the league can't predict your next move, that's when you're at your most dangerous. So now I want to hear from you. What do you think? Is Tate Ratledge the kind of cornerstone guard who can elevate this Lions offensive line into legendary status? Or would you prefer Brad Holmes make a splash, maybe trade up, grab a star, or pull another wildcard move no one sees coming? And what about wide receiver? Do the Lions need another pass catcher to take that next step, or is the current core enough? I can't wait to read your thoughts in the comments below. Personally, I love the idea of drafting Ratledge. He just feels like a Dan Campbell guy. Tough, smart, physical, team first. But at the same time, part of me is bracing for the chaos. Because with Brad Holmes, the only thing you can count on is that he's not going to do what everyone expects. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to Lions News Fan Report, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss an update. We've got draft week coverage, behind-the-scenes stories, player breakdowns, and everything you need to stay locked in with your Detroit Lions. Until next time, keep that one pride energy strong, and let's go Lions.